think it's very important for patients to know that they're not alone in this. I like to tell them this. Look, you see me, but behind, everything I do, there is a team of people.
Hello, Homo sapiens. Welcome back to Epilepsy Sparks Insights. Now, Epilepsy Month is a whole of November, and this week we meet the brilliant epileptologist Meriem Bensalem-Owen, who is inspiring for people with and families affected by the epilepsies due to her empathy and understanding, and inspiring to fellow clinicians and researchers with her leadership. This month, November, we hear how Meriem makes Epilepsy Month cool, productive, and fun. A quick one, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, because your comment and like will help spread awareness and understanding of the epilepsies globally. Now, on to the star of the week, Meriem Bensalem-Owen.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I've been following you closely, especially during the pandemic when it was raging. And I really love the community that you have built around your podcast and raising epilepsy awareness. So I am an epileptologist, I'm a neurologist, and I work at the University of Kentucky. I direct the epilepsy program at UK Healthcare, and I'm also the director of the Epilepsy Fellowship, which is the first accredited epilepsy fellowship in the state of Kentucky. So in addition to these official positions, I serve the epilepsy community in another way. I am the current president of the board of directors of the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana, which stands for Kentucky and Southern Indiana. And I serve as the chair of the accreditation committee of the National Association of Epilepsy Centers, or NAC, which is an organization that is promoting quality of care and safety for epilepsy patients in epilepsy centers. It oversees about 260 epilepsy centers throughout the United States. So this is one role. And the other role I have is I work very closely with the American Clinical Neurophysiology Society. And I'm the current vice president of the ACNS, or American Clinical Neurophysiology Society. And then I do other things. I serve on other committees, but this is a little bit what I do.
I don't know how you do so much stuff. I'm just thinking, if I did like two of those things, I think I'd end up having a seizure or something. So I think it's so flipping amazing how you do all of that. And I guess this must perhaps come from a passion for the helping people with the epilepsies. Tell us the story and how you got into that.
When I was a neurology resident, I really liked every subspecialty, but I had narrowed down my subspecialties to movement disorders and epilepsy. I felt that they were very dynamic, and also I really loved the multidisciplinary approach. Working with other colleagues, we work with neurosurgeons, neuropsychologists, neuroradiologists, and scientists, and I really liked that approach. And I felt, and then I just fell in love with epilepsy and all the possibilities, all the approaches, how we can help our patients have a better lives and safer lives, because we know that epilepsy can be dangerous. Patients can have injuries, severe injuries, from milder to more severe, and also unfortunately die from epilepsy. There is one entity which is sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. And just knowing the impact that we can do to help our patients, I think that's amazing. Of course, sometimes our hands are tied, and despite our best efforts, we cannot render every single patient seizure-free, but we try to be there and support them in their journey. And so that's why, in addition to the work that I do as a neurologist, epileptologist, I work a lot with the community, the epilepsy community, and with the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana.
Okay, for an example on this, tell us about the bourbon and epilepsy. One might think, maybe not the association one would make.
It is not, I don't want to promote alcohol and epilepsy, definitely. But I live in Kentucky, and two of the big industries in Kentucky are the equine industry, but also the bourbon industry. And through a friend of mine who has, that I met through an activity I do as a side, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a friend of mine owns a distillery. And so I had asked him if he could help me raise awareness through, unfortunately, bourbon. Again, I'm not trying to promote alcohol,
yeah.
but I'm using the industry in Kentucky because I live here. And so he very kindly, we organized a bourbon selection committee. So individuals that are affected indirectly with epilepsy, but to select the bourbon. And from that bourbon, we had bottles. I think I sent you a photo. So every bottle had a logo of the Epilepsy Foundation of Kentuckiana. And every bottle, the proceeds of every bottle went to the foundation, part of the proceeds. And then we also put the barrel, the bourbon barrel, and to auction during the gala. And then we got out of it beautiful pictures that were featured in Tops in Lexington magazine. So all this helped, in addition to the funds that it generated, but it also helped make epilepsy more visible and just bring awareness by hosting this event.
And there is the cutest picture of this little boy in one of your photos. Are these photos available online? Like, are they on the website or something?
They are.
I'll provide links, everyone. Look down under the recording because they're so, oh my God, such beautiful. And you got like purple put everywhere outside and stuff, didn't you?
So, for this, the picture with that little boy, it was with the governor of Kentucky. Governor Beshear. And so what we do, and this is November, we're in November, and November is Epilepsy Awareness Month nationally. So we're trying to do a lot of activities around epilepsy throughout the month. Of course, we want to continue to do these activities or similar activities throughout the year. It should not be just ending. But I think, it's nice to have this special month and just be even more dynamic and more active. So what we do, we meet with the governor of Kentucky, and this is a picture from last year when we met with the governor. I had posted it on X or X Twitter. So we met with the governor, and the governor proclaimed Epilepsy Awareness Month in Kentucky. So we had a proclamation, and so we met with the governor. We also met with the mayor of Lexington, and we've been doing this over several years. So it's not the first year or last year. We did it before, and so we just meet and we get a proclamation that November is Epilepsy Awareness Month in Lexington, but also one with the governor that it's in Kentucky.
Fabulous. It's always good to have a bit of political support as well regarding these things and to have, something acknowledged. When it comes to the epilepsies, we'll often hear from, a few sort of specific groups of people, which tend to be people like yourself, and then the people with epilepsy or families who are generally involved. It's like kind of same faces, different places. What would you say to people who aren't generally involved in these things, whether they say we have a clinician researcher who thinks, I do a lot of work in this, but I don't really know how to give extra or to relate more to the people or the families. What do you think they should do in this month?
I think just speaking about it. And for instance, posting it on social media, people who have a following, or just speaking about it, or wearing purple, because that attracts the attention. I know I go to the store sometimes and I'm wearing a lot of purple, and people's like, oh, you must love purple. I'm like, it's not really my color, but it's the color for epilepsy. And then I kind of teach or educate them about what is epilepsy, because then they're intrigued by the color, and then it gets us to a discussion about epilepsy. Another thing I like to mention is, and so it's just about speaking and finding an opportunity to share with others what the epilepsy community is bringing. And I'm sharing a couple of examples. So when I go to the gym, or when I speak with people who go to the gym or like to exercise or diet, for health purposes, for instance, and they mentioned the ketogenic diet, and I'm like, well, did you know that the ketogenic diet originated with epilepsy? It was, and so they're like, and I just love seeing their eyes. They're like, oh, really? I did not know that. And so I think this is just an opportunity to say, hey, look, this is what the epilepsy community has brought to the bigger community. That may not have anything to do or be in relation with epilepsy. Another thing is also for scientists. I just love like engineers or scientists. I'm like, well, have you heard about brain-computer interface? And they're like, oh, yes. And then they mention Neuralinks. And I'm like, yeah, but did you know that it came from the epilepsy world through, monitoring, when we monitor patients' electrocorticography, for epilepsy surgery. And so kind of it's an opportunity for me to educate them that all these brain-computer interfaces that Neuralink is using, and when they mention Elon Musk, and I'm like, hey, we've been doing this, or it generated in our field, and so I just bring awareness through that. And now we hear about BCI, or brain computer interface, being used, even in earpods. I mean, you hear so much about it, but also, to restore function, of course, that was the initial purpose, is to restore function for people who have amputations, who have lost limbs, but it's also restoring function like memory in patients. So it's being studied and researched in patients who have memory loss, for instance, to improve their memory through brain-computer interface devices. So, but all this was generated by the epilepsy world, and so for me, it's an opportunity to just put it out there.
I love the way that you're talking about it, also with a passion, but also you're talking about things that are, it's not about necessarily a opinion, but these are facts. These are facts that surround us day to day that people just they haven't made the connection. And so, and you're not being depressing, and you're not having a pity everybody moment, because that does my head in. But it's just raising awareness and understanding, and I think further interest in the epilepsies as well. It's not like a one-off, but encouraging questions. Because sometimes people don't know what to say. They're worried they'll say the wrong thing. But I think the way that you're doing it is, don't ask me anything. I may or may not know the answer, but, it's that conversation.
It's okay. We'll learn about it together. We'll go and research it together. But another thing is also just mentioning, it's oh, did you know that Elton John had epilepsy, or that Prince had epilepsy, or that so-and-so who's very successful has epilepsy or had epilepsy. And I think then people realize, wow, it is a little bit everywhere when you think about it. And those are a lot of, you look at the artist. I mean, so much creativity. And you're like, hey, yes. But even for my patients who were newly diagnosed with epilepsy, I'm like, look, so-and-so, that is a public figure, has epilepsy or had epilepsy. And look how successful they are. To know also that researchers, I think it's very important for patients to know that they're not alone in this. I like to tell them this. Look, you see me, but behind, everything I do, there is a team of people. There are scientists that you don't see. But, we do research. We do clinical research. We have an alliance called the Finders Alliance in our institution. So we work with scientists, with engineers, and we're called the Finders because we're trying to find the epileptogenic focus through imaging with functional MRI and other imaging modalities. But I tell them, look, you have a team of people behind you, people that you see, like me, but people that you don't see. It's not just a job of one physician. I mean, I do my job because I have a team, and I'm able to do it because I have a team.
Thank you to Meriem for being such a star for so many people. Make sure that you follow Meriem on social media. The links are on the website, torierobinson.com/epilepsy-sparks-insights, as are links to Meriem's work. Again, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you next week.